Kia ora koutou, ki te mihi o ki te mana whenua tēnei rohi tēnei o. It's great to be here today. I just wanted to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land we are on today, the Gadigal people of the Ora Nation. Really excited to be here to talk about Sharesies and the ways that we do things a bit different, which we hope do start to create the new normal. Ko waio, who am I? So I'm Brooke, and as mentioned, I'm from Aotearoa. We operate here in Australia too. Got two little kids, and I was raised operating in noticing two different sides of the world. One, I was my mum's only child, and still am, and with that, I could go to athletics and kind of have that support and these opportunities because there's a little bit more disposable income in the household. And then on the other side, I'm one of five. I'm the oldest of five, so any other oldest energies in here, you know what it's like, yeah. But with that, it was pretty hectic. There was no, it was really hard to make ends meet. We were going to get food parcels and food stamps, and it was just really, really tricky environment, but filled with heaps of love and araha. But I noticed this divide between what I got in terms of having access to these types of opportunities, literally because of money, it felt like, compared to what I saw on the other with my other family. And I always thought that this was not fair, and I always tried to figure out how I could make those opportunities happen for my whānau, for my brothers and sisters, and now I want to see more equity in the world. So part of creating Sharesies is we want to create financial empowerment for everyone, and we want people to have the same access to opportunities. And for me, and the skills that I've got along with the other co-founders, operating in this kind of spectrum of finance and humanity is, I think, where we play a lot, and where we really want to start to bridge those divides and make sure there are more equitable opportunities in Aotearoa and Australia. So we've got a wealth app, we provide access to investing, and what's really important about that is about giving people access to a way to be able to develop wealth. So many of us have been brought up with, the way you invest is through home ownership, but that's become way more unattainable. Like to buy a home now, it's at least around 20 times, if not more, your annual income to be able to purchase a home. And in the 70s, it was like 4 times. So it's really changed, and it's really inaccessible for people to be able to grow their wealth that way, and only that way. So but investing is a way that people can start to develop wealth moments, with little bits at a time, and build it over time, and have access to, opportunities later in life for them or their community and family. So what we really care about too is making sure, how do we help people create really healthy habits with money? And habits are such a key element when it comes to making your pay last longer. And so that's why we've tried to find ways where we can automate it as much as possible with roundups, auto investing, or auto investing dividends, ways that we can just really help people build that wealth in the background and build it over time. The other part that I just wanted to touch on, because I'll then talk into the 3 norms that I wanted to share, is we actually have started to learn as we've gone into this area of busting down the doors to make sure people have access to more investing opportunities and access to voting, and where we started to realise actually there's a big bridge we need to build between companies that are listed on stock exchanges and the power that retail investors can have, so people that own elements in that company. And this is something that we've started to get a lot more into, in terms of connecting companies with people a lot more, because we think if that happens and more people are owning the companies and their voice is going in there and they're voting on the future that they want to see with their money and with their literal votes too, we can start to change a lot of the kind of issues that we've been seeing in the past. So we've noticed that a lot of retail investors were locked out of investment opportunities, such as equity capital raises. So that's when companies raise money, so we try to help them get in there. A real key one is staff shares, which I'll talk to soon, and then helping them communicate better with people. So that's the other element of Sharesies. And we're really proud to be part of the B Corp whānau. Anyone else here part of it? Yeah, cool. It's awesome. Welcome. Let's chat after. It's great. And if anyone wants to, or if you're just intrigued if your business would, be able to be a B Corp, I highly, highly recommend doing the B Impact assessment. It's free for it's free for you to do. And you can just actually see how you're measuring up in terms of your impact on community, customers, the environment. It's really awesome to kind of just get that benchmark for yourself and then come join us. So here's 3 norms that I think that we challenge on the daily, and we've started to see some shifts in, but it feels like it's going to be our lifelong work. One is around that $5 and $5 million. As I mentioned, we've seen so many doors that people have locked out of, and we really want to stop that. But also we've noticed that there's a lot more that now with technology available today, there's just no reason that this can't be the case, that we can't have access to the same opportunities. And as I mentioned yesterday, we're the only place where you can trade however much you want, like literally a cent, $100, whatever, it doesn't matter, and you don't need to choose how much, have the certain amount for a share either. We've done this thing called fractionalization, where it's really about how much you want to invest in, and then building it over time how you want to. In order to make this happen though, as we've had to really challenge a lot of, we've had to challenge the regulatory environment. In New Zealand, we're an NZX participant, and we would have to constantly come back to the conversations when we were looking at becoming that of like, hey, well, how can someone with $5 have access to this? And it took a long time, and as you just heard, Heaps Normal talk about was how actually this stuff, when you're wanting to live your purpose and you're wanting to make these things come to life, it is harder and it is more expensive and it takes more time, but that is why you do it, because it's so worth it, and it's obvious, and it's so important to be able to drive that change, and that's what we've done a lot, and will continue to do. This is what drives us every day. And people want access to develop wealth. People want the ability to develop wealth, and that's what we've noticed too. When we started, we'd get heaps of stuff like, "Oh, nobody's going to use that. They don't need to, they don't need to know how to invest." People, and then we started to grow, and then people are like, "Oh, yeah, but people that invest with Sharesies, they wouldn't know what they're doing." And it's really cool to see the insights that we get. On Sharesies, we get to see how people behave, and we've got over 600,000 investors now, and they're exceptional. People are actually really good at investing, and it's been incredible to see that those ones that are investing habitually, so that's like got an auto set up. They usually outperform by 6 to 7% compared to others, and we also notice on our platform that our investors are more likely to act like the big institutional investors too. So it's really important, I think, that this kind of perception that money equals smarts is just completely obliterated, and I'm really stoked to see that actually come to life and start to see those narratives change around that too. So that's one of the norms that we try and tackle. Another one is we share leadership. So when we started Sharesies, this lot would walk into a room and people were like, never going to work. As in a startup, two dudes in a garage, like literally we would get that kind of approach that, oh, there's no way that 6 founders work. But honestly, there's no way that Sharesies would work without the 6 founders. We operate in a highly regulated environment, and we need to be able to have all the skills around the table to bring Sharesies to life. We also, they mentioned co-CEO before, we're actually a 3EO, so there's 3 of us that are CEOs. And it wasn't always that case, even though we would have had it that way. So Leighton, Sonia and I were the first founders to go full-time on Sharesies. And so we always kind of operated together, but we were part of this incubator. They're like, you must pick a CEO. And we fought it, and we're like, oh, look, we'll cave into this one. We were fighting them the whole time. So I was the sole CEO for a while, and then I went on maternity leave, and they co-CEO'd, and then I went on maternity leave again, and then Leighton and Sonia was co-CEOing, and then I was coming back, and I was like, what if we just trialled a 3EO? And they were so down for that, because it was weird, this structure that society puts on a CEO, and it wasn't fair, people would want the CEO to be in this room or invited to speak or whatever it might be, and actually That's not how we operate. We are a founding team and we're really connected. And so this 3EO model, we trialled it for 6 months and now it's like 3 years later and it works so well for us. I mean, we've got to know each other pretty well over the 7 years creating Sharesies, but I call it like this Venn diagram propulsion. Like you've got Layden, Sonia and I, we've all got a lot of skills that cross over, but there's also elements of each of them that I learn from every day. And I think what I love about this 3EO model that we operate under is we make way better decisions, like when you've got 2 other people with a collective kind of mindset and different ways and prioritizing different information or have different contexts, like we make such good decisions together and I feel like they're more well-rounded. And also we've got this really good way of, I honestly think that it enables us to move a lot faster because we either have the who cares the most decision making, like if someone really cares, we're like, sweet, we'll follow what you're saying because you obviously care a lot. Or, we know, oh, actually, I think Sonia will really care about this. I'm going to bring her in or like, go for it. And I think we've it's really enabled us to grow really quickly, but also leverage our strengths a lot too. So if anyone wants to talk about a 3EO model or co-CEO model, hit me up after this. And the third way is I think staff should equal shareholders. Who here is in a company and you get shares in that company? Cool. I want to see everyone's hand up. Next year, please. But I really believe that when you're working and you're creating value for a company, and I'm hoping, and I can imagine in this room in particular, you're working in industries and companies you're so passionate about and you're driving a lot of change and it takes a lot of your mahi and your time. I really want to see that more people, more employees, get access to the value that they're creating in the companies they're operating in. And that is what I'm really passionate about, helping drive change. We help a bunch of New Zealand listed companies provide shares to their staff and actually help them understand it. It is quite confusing, all the fun tax rules, but we can help make that all seamless. And I'd love to do that for more and more companies too. We're talking with some in Australia, but for anyone, I'm really keen for us to make this a possibility because that's another way that people can get access to this wealth that has been, a lot of people have been locked out of, and you're making that wealth and that value creation. It'd be good for more of us to have a share of that. So that's a bit from me. Thanks so much for having me here. How cool is this conference? It's an exceptional way. Can we get a round of applause for Sally and the team? Nice. Cool.
Thank you so much, Brooke.
Oh, thank you.
What you're doing is amazing. It's the second time I've been lucky enough to hear Brooke speak, and I'm just more impressed every time. You are having great success and a great reception with consumers in Aotearoa and here. And it's so amazing to hear that the consumers have appetite for this new normal that you're creating, but you work in a heavily regulated sector. So I wondered if you had any tips for people who are trying to create a new normal in a heavily regulated environment of how they might approach that.
Yeah, I think if you're heavily regulated, you need to find those, for us, what worked for us is finding advisors that were up for that change. So we were so lucky to connect with a lawyer who was like, oh, I could help. Yeah, I could make this, this could actually work. And they joined the team, but then also advisors that were up for that too. They were like, yeah, I'm up for making this change. And hey, actually, if we interpreted this that way and we talked to these people. So I found that really insightful in terms of having those advisors around that, that were just, what if? People, you need those people around you. Like, what if this happened? Rather than, oh, well, here's all the, regulations and why you can't. But what if, and what would we need to do to drive that change? So find those people, and I'm happy to connect you with any if you need to, because I think, yeah, you need that energy around you when you're trying to create that change you want to see.
That is incredible advice. And I'm asking everyone the same final question. Could you share a moment where you we're doing it, it's having the impact that we set out to create?
I mean, walking into the foyer outside and seeing the Glee book stand, has anybody seen that? It's got the Sharesies Guide to Investing on it, and it just warms my heart so much. If anyone wants to buy a book from them, I'm sure they'd appreciate it. Happy to sign it. But it was cool to, it was just really cool to see, that we just really care about this education being out there and that more people have access to this. And so little moments like that, just like, oh, cool, it's coming to life. I think the conversations I have, the text message I got today from a customer who filled out one of our surveys just saying how life-changing it has been for them and how they see this not as a fling but as a long-term relationship. And all of that just kind of... just really feeds my heart and soul. And if any of you want to sign up to Sharesies, there is that, you can use Purpose and you'll have $10 in your wallet to give it a crack because we're really keen to see more and more people get into investing.
Amazing, Brooke. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Cheers, ka kite.